is a bi-monthly girls talk. We're super excited that you joined us today. We do this twice a month. Each one of us are taking different topics, just sharing what our passion is about female things, just a platform of being able to share about life and the struggles of the issues that we go through, female issues and stuff, and not necessarily really female always, but can be male as well. As a matter of fact, we've had males listening in and saying, oh my gosh, why aren't we using this stuff? It's been kind of a fun journey for us. We're all just getting our feet wet. We are definitely not experts in all of this. We don't treat, prevent, cure, or anything like that. We are just sharing our testimonies of what certain things have done for us. And we're super excited and we're passionate about the health industry as far as the natural ways goes. We love doctors. We love their passion to help people, but we don't necessarily like the pharmaceutical side of things. And even there's a lot of medical people with us that will tell you that nowadays it's all about writing prescriptions and how many prescriptions can write. And they're not necessarily getting us better. We're in a firm belief that the body naturally can heal itself if we give it what it needs. So sometimes we're lacking in things. That's our passion, other areas in our lives. Or you may know of people that may be battling with these issues. And I get the privilege to be able to share with Lori, and I'm going to just do a little bit of talking, and Lori is going to kick it up, and then she's going to share her heart behind a lot of this. We're going to talk about Candida, the world of Candida, and I'm going to dive in and share some statistics, and I'm a real numbers person, and I want to know the why behind the why. Kind of want to dive deeper. A lot of times we're so busy trying to put band-aids on things and we're not getting ourselves better. We don't ask the more questions, the deeper questions of, yeah, but why is this happening? Or why is this? We're going to dive in a little bit deep on that, and we are passionate about educating people. Buckle up. We're in for a ride today, and it's going to be a great one. So today we're talking about Candida. What is Candida? Just so you know, Candida is actually a yeast overgrowth is what it is. So many people are battling with this. 1 in 3 people battle with a yeast overgrowth. To me, that is like insane. I didn't do the statistics on this, but years back, I'm sure the number was like 1 in 100. Today, it is 1 in 3 battle with the yeast overgrowth. What feeds yeast? Sugar is the number 1 cause of Candida, and it feeds these little critters within us, and then they just begin to multiply. Pretty soon we have yeast overgrowth. Pretty soon we're wondering why we have all these issues in our body. Most of this is caused from yeast overgrowth, which is Candida. 74% of Americans, they battle with it, and they battle with gut issues. You ask yourself, oh, okay, well, that's gut issues. The reality is that most of it is actually caused from yeast or bacteria overgrowth. And so that's what people don't understand. If they can fix their gut, they can fix so many of these problems. And so that's why we're really passionate about just telling people, hey, it's not really that difficult. They've got names and they've got all these labels for things, but what they don't understand is it's not really that difficult. If you can just figure out getting that yeast back into balance, having your good yeast and good bacteria, then you will not be battling with all of these things. Here's an example of some yeast overgrowth. The bigger picture on the left is actually just a child. So we think of it as older people, but it's actually just a child, and that's his armpit. Where does yeast usually grow? Yeast usually grows in the moist areas. So I know this is a little bit graphic. So that's a yeast overgrowth. It's on the skin. The bottom one on the right is actually, I know you can't really tell, but it is actually underneath of the breast. It's an area where, women get a lot of sweat. Believe it or not, as embarrassing as it may seem, and it looks ugly, a lot of women battle with this and they don't know how to get rid of it. And I have a personal testimony on that. Like, I actually battled with yeast overgrowth for over 10 years. And it would come and go. Before I really got educated on what it was to actually get to the root of it, I was doing the same as everybody else. I was putting the topical creams on. Again, I was only putting a Band-Aid on things, not getting to the root of everything. Again, here on the top is thrust in the mouth. Put all these names on things, but the reality is that it's just yeast overgrowth, vaginal infections, just yeast overgrowth. I know Lori's going to dive in a little bit more to this. See where it is? They mask it with all these different, and so then you're buying all these different things to try to fix things. And yet the reality is, again, it's just simply yeast overgrowth is all it is. We want to just educate you on that. And until I got a handle on things and knowing that, hey, I got to get to the root cause of why I have so much yeast or the yeast overgrowth, rather than just putting the Band-Aid on things, I never got rid of it. It took 10 years for me to be able to get rid of it. And it can be very painful. Outbreaks like this could be very painful. And some of mine look like that. I honestly feel for a lot of people who are going through this and battling with this kind of stuff. I'm just going to give you a few things that I know. But again, these are just topical things. Some of it's just to relieve pain, but it's not necessarily getting to the root of things. You can put coconut oil on things. If you're doing apple cider vinegar, like a lot of times people are doing apple cider vinegar, and like you can do a tea in apple cider vinegar. That's great. So the problem with the apple cider vinegar is that it only gives you a prebiotic. It doesn't give you a probiotic. Other people are trying to do low sugar or no sugar. That's the Candida diet. Cut out sugar, cut out carbs. The problem is that you could look at all the labels. Sugar is in everything. And so if you can't break your sugars down and stuff, then you're just getting that overgrowth of sugar all the time. You can do that 2 months worth, and I've done it. I've done all that only for it to come back, and sometimes come back even stronger than before. So it's kind of just masking, putting the Band-Aid on things. Garlic and curcumin is a good one as well to be taking. And all of these things are good to take, like garlic and cutting out sugar, and the curcumin and the apple cider vinegar. They're all really good. They're all good starters, but they're really not ones who will actually take you through and follow through with everything. The coconut oil too, you know, as far as like the thrust in the mouth, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you heard of coconut pulling, where you literally take 1 to 2 tablespoons of coconut oil and you literally just put it through your teeth for 10 to 15 minutes. I've done it once. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Is it good for your teeth to get all the critters out? It is. But again, you're just masking like things. You're not really getting to the root of why do I have all this overgrowth, especially as far as like fixing the gut. It's really important to get on a really high probiotic, a really good probiotic, because what happens is if you don't get on a good probiotic, then you want to outweigh the good bacteria from the bad bacteria. And so that's where it comes in. They've even linked actually overgrowth of Candida. Now, you know, nothing is proven 100%, but they've linked Candida and cancers together. So the overgrowth of Candida can lead on into certain cancers. That's why it's really important to get a handle on this, the overgrowth of Candida. I'm 56. It doesn't mean I haven't battled with things in life, but what I do is I actually do the natural ways. You know, I search out the natural ways to try to get my body healed from things. So I'm really passionate about that. I'm going to let my friend Lori take it away. And for those that don't know her, she has come alongside of us, and she's super passionate about the natural ways as well. She's our star, our superstar of DJ for Warm 106.9. So she's really passionate. So I'm going to let her share her journey on Candida with us, get us a little bit more education. So take it away, Lori.
When I was a little girl, we always had to wear tights, and I used to get those rashes behind my knees, but nobody knew what it was. And then I had all these stomach issues, and they took me to the doctor, and I had to drink that white stuff. Nobody could figure anything out. Here I was, this little girl with all these issues that nobody had any idea about. And then we moved to Whidbey Island, and we went to this conference, and this woman walked up to my mom and handed her a book called Adele Davis. She said, "Here's the book you asked me to bring." And my mom's like, "I don't know who you are." And she goes, "Oh," and my mom says, "But I need this book." And so the woman gave her the book. From then on, my mom made us vegetarians. Now that was back early 70s. There wasn't a lot of options, but all of those issues went away. In fact, in high school, girls would tease me. They would grab my wrist and go, "You're so skinny." Usually girls tease you about being too fat. It wasn't until we went off of that diet, I went to college and I got I want to say the COVID 15, the freshman 15, the freshman 30. Suddenly I'm eating pasta, flour, sugar. I'm gaining weight. I'm sick. And I don't know what's wrong with me because I hadn't made that connection that I'd grown up vegetarian, and I didn't realize that connection. As I progressed and I got married, I had kids, I'll never forget, my daughter had thrush all the time and I had yeast infections all the time. I didn't know what it was. We didn't have internet. I didn't know how to find out. And I remember this one gal who was also very natural. She worked with my husband, telling me about Candida. And I was like, "What's that?" And so she gave me some brochures and stuff. And I went to the health food store and I found some healthy products. I don't even remember what they were now, but there was a probiotic. At that time, I had gone to the doctor and got some blood level. And they said, when they sent me the report in the mail, I remember going to the mailbox, opening up, and said, "Lay off the alcohol." And I didn't drink. When I was raising my kids, I did not drink at all. I didn't drink in high school. I'd have a glass of wine maybe once a year. It wasn't until my kids were graduated, when I knew I didn't have to ever go pick them up, that I would have a glass of wine. So I was going to call the doctor, but as women, we know we're not going to be believed. And I thought, if I call and say I don't drink, they're going to be, "Oh, she's in denial." Because so often we're not believed. And so I just remember trying to figure that out in my head. And then I realized it's sugar. It's sugar. Sugar is killing me. And I was addicted to sugar. I tried to cut back, and there was no internet still at this time. Finally, I got to a place where I went off sugar, flour, because flour turns into sugar. I went off of dairy because I had sinus infections all the time, and it was the dairy that was stuffing me up. I was at a place in my life where I didn't have kids to feed. I lived alone. So I went off everything, and I felt so good. And that's when I started looking into enzymes. And I'll tell you, I did take enzymes, but it wasn't until I found our enzymes that I realized those enzymes weren't working. But I did the apple cider vinegar. I did all of that. And I started to feel so good. And then, as we do, I started relaxing that and eating a little more, not healthy, not great, raw. And I started to feel bad again. So that's when I discovered our enzymes. I was waking up with indigestion. I mean, here I had gone off of all this stuff. I wasn't eating that bad. I wasn't eating near as bad as I did before. And I still had this indigestion. And so Donna, bless her heart, invited me to come to hear about the CBD. And I said, "Those are the enzymes I've been looking into," because I recognized that I think you're going to play the pudding demo. I took the enzymes that I was using and I crunched them all up and I put them in the pudding to see what would happen, and nothing happened. The long and the short of it is, I had Candida for all these years. I had all these things and there was no diagnosis. No doctor ever believed me, or I have a yeast infection. They give me the monostat or whatever. To me, I want the root. So when I went to my doctor and she tried to give me all these, like not Tums, but the next thing up, I'm like, "No, I want to get to the source. I don't want a Band-Aid. I don't want to cover it up, because I have 4 grandkids and I want to live long enough to watch them graduate." I started on the enzymes, and I also started on the CBD, which I think the combo of them helped me get back into balance. And I made this little graphic. I'm sorry, I don't have it here. Sugar is killing us. I have friends that go, "I went off sugar, but I got a headache. So I went back." What? If you get a headache, that means you're detoxing. So what is Candida? It's a fungal, and Shelley went over this, so I won't read it, but it lives on our skin. We may not even know it, but we add sugar, we add flour, we all these unhealthy ingredients, and it starts to show up, and it causes the yeast infections. I used to get that rash you saw on the underarm. I used to get on my eyes, and then I'd have to stop wearing makeup. I thought it was the makeup. It was Candida. It causes infection. If it gets into overgrowth, that's where it shows up on our skin. But get this, it gets in our bloodstream and our organs and our kidneys. And that's why my doctor said, "Lay off the alcohol," because it was showing up in my liver and my kidneys. But did they explain that? No. So here I am, still trying to figure it all out on my own. It's a global health threat. Like Shelley said, 1 in 3 people And still, I don't think we know what it is. It all has to do with the fungal and the Candida. Factors leading to Candida overgrowth. Taking antibiotics. What's the first thing they do? They give you antibiotics. Eating a diet high in sugared and refined carbs. I was a single mom. What do you feed your kids? Macaroni and cheese, spaghetti, all those things that don't cost so much. High alcohol intake, which I didn't have, but was accused of, basically. A weakened immune system. So I was getting sinus infections all the time. Taking oral contraceptives. It does lead to diabetes, and diabetes, just watch this TED Talk. You have low insulin, and then they give you high carbs, which makes you have to take more insulin. High stress levels, single mom, high stress. How am I going to raise these kids on my own? Oral thrush, you saw the picture. That's what my daughter had. She also had this cradle cap because she got it from me because I wasn't taking care of myself. Tired and fatigued. Oh my gosh, now I've got 3 kids and I'm exhausted. The reoccurring of yeast infection, urinary tract infection. Having those, I had a backache. It was a urinary tract infection. Digestive issues. We always talk about our gut is our second brain. And I love it because as a coach, I always talk about trusting your gut. Why? Because it's our second brain. It's telling us something. Chronic sinus infections. If you know someone with chronic sinus infections, that's a gut issue. Isn't that insane? But we don't know that. Nobody tells us that. Skin and nail fungus, you know, those toenails, those awful toenails. I started to get those. Why? Because of sugar, because of Candida. So it's from the inside, not the outside. And then joint pain. We have all this joint pain and we think maybe it's arthritis. So how do we fight it? Shelley talked about coconut oil it's our MCT, it's in our Enhance. Probiotics, we have our enzymes. We have 2 types of enzymes and I use them both. I use one during the day when I eat. I use 2 at night when I sleep to get to that joint pain. Aloe vera really helps. Garlic, kombucha is kind of the same as the in my mind, is the same as apple cider vinegar, and xylitol is a different type of sweetener. Now, I was taking some protein shakes. They almost all of them, when I looked at them, had sugar in them. Ours does not have sugar. So I do our meal replacement and I feel really good because I'm not having to have a little bit of sugar that's going to lead to more and more sugar. So these are our products: Support, enzymes; Nourish, superfood; Enrich is the probiotic and prebiotic; enzymes; Glow helps skin, hair, and nails. Candida is on our skin, hair, and nails. Optimize is the one I take at night. It's the proteolytic enzyme. And then the CBD is a natural antifungal, and it works with our endocannabinoid system. Our oral care, I mean, if you've got thrush, if you've got Candida, this oral care product is like nothing else. And I have a friend who's taken a lot of years and years of meds for seizures, and her teeth are rotting out of her head and she's having to have them replaced. Our oral care is the only one that gives her relief. They're making her use their medicated mouth swirl. She uses it because she's supposed to, but ours gives relief from the pain. We have Boost, which gives us energy, stamina, opens our blood. So I'm supposed to be taking a medication starts with C carb. Yes, cholesterol. Yes. So I'm going to go get tested in about a month, and I'm going to prove to them, we'll see, I'll tell you that this Boost is helping my cholesterol. We have Balance, which helps with immunity. And then we have Enhance with the MCT oil. So all of our products basically help with Candida.